Okay, it's the Sunday results show from the Barclays Premier League. This is week 2 and we've got 4 matches to review, and I will chip in at the end with information about the 2 matches played last night. But let's get started at St Mary's. It's Southampton versus Spurs. Both sides started with defeats on week 1. Holberg in Spurs' midfield now, returning to play against his old club. Alongside him was Wicks and Ndumbele, but no Dele Alli, not even on the bench. Speculation about his future for certain. For Southampton, still no Redmond, he's still on the injury table. And we got off to a lively start. Kane putting the ball in the net from a cross by Mora, but it was chalked off for offside. Mora's foot was just in front. So an early escape for the Saints. 9 minutes, Lloris had to be alert as he tipped over a strike by Adams. And then 11 minutes, the first of many runs by Son, beating that offside trap, that high line that Southampton were playing. But the keeper came out to block it. And then a lovely through ball from Ginepru on 15, and Ings running through, and out came Lloris sprinting, but in the collision it was adjudged that Ings had controlled the ball with his elbow, even though he managed to slot it home comfortably, so it was ruled out. 19 minutes, Ginepru again lays the ball back to Adams. He was on the sort of penalty spot, but he hesitated and the defence got in to block it. And then on 25 minutes, a free kick which led to a Ginepru shot after a poor clearance, and that grazed the post. And 21 minutes, Kane ruled offside again. He was clearly offside, but it was a very, very cool finish by England centre forward. We got to minute 31 then, and Walker Peters, he managed to clip the ball over midfield, right in Ings' range, and Ings managed a great piece of control, and he sort of held off the defender, and his smooth shot went in Lloris' right corner. Beautiful finish, 1-0 Saints. We got to added time, and it looked like Saints were going to hold out, but none of it. 46 minutes, tremendous Spurs move out of defence following a corner for Saints, and Kane managed to get hold of the ball, and his precision pass across the front of the high line that Southampton had been playing, and Son bursting down that right. He went a little to the right and wide, but then clipped it in the left-hand corner. McCarthy, well beaten, could have done better, I think, but nevertheless, that was half-time, and it was level 1-1. Into the second half, and Mourinho rang a change. He put La Sosa on for Ndumbele. Ndumbele had actually set up Kane for that equaliser, but he was anyway put on the side. And 46 minutes, Adams had a golden chance to put Saints back in front, but he missed it. 47 minutes then, another fantastic goal by Spurs. Son just too quick for that defensive line. His anticipation was tremendous. Another assist from Kane, and this time he buried it in the corner with his left foot, and so that was 2-1. And from then on, Southampton's attack was really nullified by Spurs. They'd sort of worked it all out. 63 minutes, the Korean got his hat-trick. He again beat that offside trap, and his sharp shot went in the corner. It was now 3-1 for Spurs, and they were coasting. Probably the best of the lot was on 72. Again, a quick counter-attack. They got the ball out to Kane, and he looped his pass, bent it round the defenders who were running back frantically. But Son was too good for them, and he got in front of them and placed a nice ball wide of the keeper, and that was 4-1. Hasenhüttl was shaking his head by this stage, but he hadn't done anything to change the damage. 81 minutes, Lamela, who come on, he had a sharp shot that was saved by McCarthy, but it only as far as Kane, who was following up, and he prodded the ball home for 5-1. There was a late consolation. Doherty handball, although it looked really ridiculously harsh, but Ings stepped up to get his second, and that's how it finished. Commanding win for Spurs. They took this game by 5-2. So, the match of the round then, at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea at home to Liverpool. First of the heavyweight clashes. For Liverpool, they had Thiago, their new signing from Barcelona, on the bench. Milner was warming the seat next to him. In defence, Fabinho retained with Van Dijk. Still no Matip and no Gomez. They're both injured. For Chelsea, Havertz was alongside Werner and Mount up front. Still no Pulisic. He's injured. But Kovacic was back for the Blues. An early action, half sort of chances at either end. Salah and Werner both looking lively, but nothing really to worry the keepers, although keeper Kepa was looking very nervous. There's a lot of speculation about his future. And then we had a great ball over the top from Henderson, and racing onto that was Mane, but he had Christensen for company, and unfortunately Christensen was losing the battle. Kepa rushed out as well, just to complicate matters, but Christensen hauled Mane back, and the inevitable happened. Following VAR, a red card was issued, so Chelsea were down to 10, and they had a long spell with 10 men now to hold out. Then Havertz was brought off, of course, because of the defender was needed, and Tomasari was in place, and this affected Chelsea considerably. Thiago came on for Henderson, and he looked very good. He started to be bossing the midfield, and he's going to be a great asset. We got to the break, though, goalless, and Chelsea just about hanging on into the second half. Then we weren't long into it. 50 minutes, a really nice piece of work involving the Liverpool's three front men. Salah linked up with Firmino. He was heading for the byline on the right. He looked up and hit a perfect cross, and Mane's anticipation was just too good for the defence, and he headed it wide of Kepa, and so Liverpool were 1-up. 4 minutes later, disaster for Chelsea, and it came in the form of Kepa. Kepa had the ball. He was trying to get it out to his defender. He just wasn't good enough. A leg from Mane blocked it, and he managed to collect the ball and hit it into an empty net, and that was 2-0 for the Reds. Virtually game over. Kepa looking a worrying sight out there. I'm sure Lampard was thinking, well, what's going to happen next? After that, really, it settled down into a fairly average game, really. There was a little bit of optimism for Chelsea when Werner, he's got pace to burn, and he was tripped by Thiago in the box. But the penalty taker for Chelsea these days is Jorginho, usually very reliable, but on this occasion, unfortunately, it was saved by Kepa. I don't think that's going to save his position in the team. And in the end, Liverpool ran out comfortable winners by 2-0. But it has to be said, they were playing against 10 men. And Klopp delighted, Lampard not. So to Newcastle at home to Brighton. Well, Newcastle had won their first game at West Ham, and Tyneside was really optimistic now that they were going to press on. Brighton unlucky, but they got beaten by Chelsea. Chelsea a better side, but good moments for Brighton in that match. Darrow was still in for Dubravka for Newcastle, and Almiron was still on the bench. Carroll was up front alongside Callum Wilson. Newcastle, well, really lethargic from the start. Brighton had all the ball and they had all the energy. And after 2 minutes, St Maximin managed to bring down the highly impressive Lamptey, who was playing right back. Now, this boy was on Chelsea's books, but he decided he wanted first-team football and went to the Amex. And he's looking a real find. He was everywhere. Mopé stepped up and converted, and that was 1-0 to Brighton. And then Lamptey again, real energy down the right. He fed Trossard, whose cross was connected with Mopé. And after VAR had a look at it, eventually they decided to award the goal. And so we were only 6 minutes in, and Brighton were 2 up. Newcastle pretty toothless throughout that first half. And second half wasn't a lot better. Eventually on 83, Connolly, who'd come on, he managed to slot home the third, a delightful shot curled in off Darlow's left-hand post. The day was spoilt for Brighton, really, with a late, stupid left foot by Bussani. He managed to try a flick back heel, and his boot connected with Lewis's face. It was a pure accident, although rather careless. Should have deserved a yellow, but the referee, after consultation, showed him a red card. I thought that was a bit tough. But anyway, it didn't really help for Newcastle. They were really poor. Brighton, what a great result for them. Final score then at St James's Park, Newcastle 0, Brighton 3. So to the late match on Sunday, it was at the King Power Stadium. It was Leicester at home to Burnley. Burnley's first match, of course, their first one was postponed. Perez was in up front for Leicester. Maddison still on the bench. They're nursing him back, obviously. Burnley, there was no Tarkowski for them in defence, and Long was at centre-back. Brief highlights here. 10 minutes, left foot crotch from Taylor, and Wood, showing his strength, created half a chance and prodded the ball home past a surprise Schmeichel. 1-0 to Burnley. Then we got the equaliser midway through the half. The ball came out to Vardy. He was in the box, very patient. He managed to roll the ball back to Castagna, who was supporting in the box, and he equally set up a neat little pass to Barnes, who rolled it in the corner wide of Pope. So we were level 1-1. In fact, Barnes was in the thick of the action, and he forced Pope a save just before the break. But it was 1-1 at the break. Second half, though, Leicester started to take control. Tielemans fed that Catania, who was on an overlapping run, and his cross hit a wicked deflection and sailed past Pope. Peters, the unlucky man, with that deflection. So 2-1 to the Foxes. 61 minutes, Justin got his first at the club after some good work by Perez. And so Foxes 3-1 now. But 72 minutes, a free kick for Burnley, floated into the box, and Dunn, with a low header, whistled past Schmeichel, and that was 3-2. But a false dawn for Burnley. 2 minutes later, Pratt secured the points with a blast from 30 yards. It whistled past Pope, and that was 4-2. A late effort for Wood that hit a post, but Leicester deserved this one. They've now started with 2 wins. Final score at King Power, Leicester 4, Burnley 2. So the Monday night fixtures then. The first of them at Villa Park, Aston Villa at home to Sheffield United. First game for Villa. Sheffield, of course, lost their opening fixture. Villa had Martinez in goal. They'd signed him from Arsenal, he enjoyed a good run in the side when Leno was injured at the back end of the season. Burke, new signing for Sheffield United, was also included. That meant that Sharp and McBurney were on the bench. Egan, culprit early on. He apparently denied a goal scoring opportunity for Ollie Watkins. He was 35 yards out, so bit of a surprise when he received a red card. That was in the 12th minute, and it was deemed that Watkins was in on goal. Anyway, a little bit later, Sheffield United got a penalty, and Target fouled Basham in the box. But Lundstrom stepped up, and Martinez produced a good save to deny the Blades. So basically, it remained goalless. Into the second half, the only goal, bearing in mind Sheffield were playing with 10 men, happened on 62 minutes when Conter headed in a Mings header that came from a corner. That was the only goal of the game. Didn't see much of it. Grealish looked influential as always. Wilder was really angry about the sending off. But anyway, Villa off to a good start, 1-0 the result. So last match of the round then at Molineux. Wolves at home to Manchester City. Wolves with one win. Manchester City their first game. Manchester City had Ake on debut. They bought him from Bournemouth for a fair bit of money. Of course, no David Silva. He's gone back to Spain. Still no Aguero. And Wolves, well, Wolves have lost Jota, of course, and Doherty. But otherwise, they were at full strength. And Pondence, very good in the first match. But it was all City in the first half. And the star of the show was De Bruyne. He converted a penalty on 20 minutes to put them 1-up. Foden then chipped in with a second on 32. Again, good work by the Dutchman. And they were 2-up at the break. Wolves much better in the second half. And on 78 minutes, Jimenez got a delightful goal to bring it back to 2-1. But on injury time, in 95 minutes, Jesus got his first of the season to seal the win. Convincing, really, for Man City. They looked strong throughout, so they're off to a winning start. Back to the drawing board for Nino, but final score is Wolves 1, Manchester City 3. So that does it for the second week of fixtures. A lot of goals this weekend. It's been really enjoyable. And if it keeps up like this, I'll be more than pleased. As a result of all the fixtures, we've got these teams at the top. Liverpool, of course, they're up there with 2 wins. Their Merseyside neighbours, Everton, are there with them, as are Leicester and Crystal Palace. And I think there's one other team, but it escapes me. Arsenal, yeah. Got it. So 5 teams with 2 wins out of 2. Looking forward to next week's matches. And that's your lot. That's my results show for the Premier League.